Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Multipurpose with Lakshit. So this episode is a special episode because we are in the Pride Month, and today we have Prince Manvendra joining in. So thank you very much for joining in. It's my pleasure having you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Lakshit, for giving me this opportunity. So let me begin by telling about myself. I happen to be the custodian and the 39th direct descendant of a 650-year-old Gohil dynasty, which was established in the western part of India, now in the state of Gujarat, in the place called Rajpipla.
Okay.
And I also happen to be the first member of a royal family to openly come out as gay to the world. That happened in 2006. And again, I am the only Indian to be on the famous Oprah Winfrey show, to be invited by her 3 times.
Mhm.
I founded the Lakshya Trust, which is a charitable organization
Mhm.
which works towards the dedication of the LGBT community in the state of Gujarat.
Okay.
And I am also the ambassador consultant for the world's oldest and largest non-profit organization
Okay.
working on the HIV testing and treatment. It's called AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and I'm the Indian ambassador for that.
Okay.
So that's just a brief introduction about mine.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that introduction. I just thank you very much again for being here. So first question to you is like how did it feel being into a royal family? Like how does you are from a royal family, you're a princess of Rajpapila. So how does it feel being in a royal family? How different it is from a normal life of human being?
See, being born in the royal family is you're attached to a lot of responsibilities because you're seen as the future custodian of this rich
Yeah.
cultural heritage, which is being inherited by you from your ancestors. And I was telling you, I was is one of the oldest dynasties in India, dating back to the 13th century.
Hmm.
So your upbringing is such that they prepare you to take over this heritage.
Hmm.
So it's quite different than being raised by the commoners. The very fact is that the day I was born on 23rd September 1965, my name was registered in the Gazette of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India,
Okay.
because they wanted to know the next in line, the next heir to the throne, so that the rights and the privileges and all could be passed on. Like, because in those days, the we still had our powers and privileges which were withdrawn in 1971.
Okay.
Then even the upbringing is that I was raised by a nanny.
Hmm.
The one difference in raising a child in the royal family is that the parents don't raise you; you are raised by a nanny or a governor. So governess. So the difference is that you don't tend to be attached to your parents. Like I see in other families, you are mentally conditioned to get attached to your parents. You
Yeah.
get love and affection from your parents. That doesn't happen in royal families. We share a very formal relationship with our parents,
Okay.
and even as of now, and like we are not supposed to even call each other by mom and dad, or
Okay.
we have to maintain certain formalities. So that difference is there. Because of that, also I think it's an advantage for me because I was attached to my parents. So really speaking, when I came out to them, it wasn't that difficult because I know Indian children, they
Hmm.
have difficulties in coming out to their parents because they are so attached to them. So we feel, oh, what will they feel? How will we do that? What if they kind of disown me? So we all live with that fear. But for me, because I was attached to my nanny and my governess, so that fear was not there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. And when you into the, if I'm not wrong, you said you like came out as a gay in 2006, right?
Yeah, 2006 I came out to the public, but I came out to my parents in 2002, the 4 years
Okay.
before.
Okay. Okay. Great. When did you like when you said your parents that you are a gay? What kind of things was it going on? I think that would be a great there could be there would be different reactions and different emotions and different kind of things they would be telling you because you come from a royal family and you are going to your coming generations are going to be the successes of your family. So what kind of like what did they say when you said that you're a gay and you just have no attraction to women?
So see, it is very interesting that I didn't come out to them directly, but that time I was suffering from nervous breakdown, so I was admitted to a hospital where I was undergoing treatment, and the
Okay.
doctor who was treating me, the psychiatrist, was trying to find out that what has gone wrong with me, and in that process, I came out to the psychiatrist. Now, fortunately, the psychiatrist was very sensitive towards the LGBT issues, and he was quite friendly and supportive.
Hmm.
So he volunteered to come out to my parents to let them know that look, the condition in which your son is now is because he is unable to come out, and he's leading a closeted life, and this is his reason. So that's how he came out to them, and of course the reaction was at first the state of denial, which
Hmm.
most parents do. They just deny. They say no, it's not true, it's wrong. How can our son be gay? We gave him the best upbringing,
Yeah.
and the word sanskar is used in Indian language. So then after they were convinced by the psychiatrist, they said, oh, there will be definitely a cure for this, because today the science is advanced so much that anything can be cured. So we can do anything to cure him. If there's a surgery required, if there is a mental this shock therapy,
Uh-huh.
and then they were told, no, nothing is possible, because homosexuality is not a mental disorder, homosexuality is not a disease. So
Yeah.
that was also explained. Then the next course they took was to convert me through religious leaders.
Okay.
Now it's very interesting that I know some of the religious leaders who are gay themselves,
Hmm.
or they are queer themselves, who have taken the path of religion as a mode of escapism.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get married, so they become religious leaders. Now, what will a person who's already gay, what advice is he going to give me, as a
Yeah.
religious leader?
Yeah.
But anyway, I was very cooperative with my parents, and I did whatever that person said. For 3 years, uh, from 2002 to 2005,
Hmm.
I cooperated with my parents and did exactly what the religious leader told me to do. For
Okay.
example, I became vegetarian. For the
Hmm.
first time in my life, I left non-vegetarian, because in our families we are strictly non-vegetarian. So I was vegetarian for 3 years. I started writing the word Ram Ram, which one leader advised me on in a notebook. I filled at least 5 notebooks writing the word Ram Ram.
Okay.
I did yoga, I did meditation, I did all the things which the religious leaders told me to do. But in spite of that, instead of becoming straight, I think I became more gay,
Okay.
than they would have thought. Then they realized that this is not going to work. Let us torture him financially, let us torture him socially. So they started threatening me that, okay, if you don't change your behavior, we'll tell X, Y, and Z, we'll tell A, B, and C that you are so and so, and then all your friends will stop talking to you. Your associates will disconnect with you. So that kind of threatening they started doing.
Okay.
Then they also started telling me that, okay, we will remove you from our wherever you are connected with us in different businesses and different partnerships and this and that, you don't deserve all this and you're not changing your behavior. And
Yeah.
my mother, she went to this extent of saying that, look, if you have to live with us, then you have to get married to a girl. Otherwise, there are two options. You leave this world and become a saint or a religious leader, because there is no place for you here. Or you join the Hijra community.
Okay.
So I said, no, I'm not willing to either become a saint, because I don't want to renounce the world. I want to enjoy the material world. So why should I become a saint? And I am gay. Why should I join the Hijra community? So I said, I won't do these things, and at the same time, I will not even get married to a girl. See, most parents, they think that even after the child comes to them and tells, Mom, I'm gay, they think that if they will get married to a girl, they will become straight, or they will start acting straight. But that doesn't happen, because this is and I've undergone that because I was also married to a girl, so I know you don't become straight after getting married to a girl. But anyway, so then I was totally fed up of their bullying and their threatening and day-to-day torture, I would say. So I decided, I got a good opportunity. A media approached me and asked me if I would like to do a story. So I said, okay. I mean, I was as too fed up of my parents' day-to-day mental torture. So I said, if in spite of them telling one person, let me tell the whole world, in one go. It will be it's a shortcut, so it will save their time also and their energy also. So that's how this whole statement was made, basically to get rid of their torture, and also I wanted to fight the hypocrisy which was in our country, because by then I had started the Lakshya Foundation, the Lakshya Trust, sorry, in the year 2000. And 6 years down the line, I realized that people are still homophobic, people are still bigoted, people are quite hypocrites, because given the fact that in India, homosexuality was part and parcel of our Indian culture, still people refuse to accept and believe that it was in India, and they still think that it is a Western influence, it was brought from the foreign country, which is not true, because we have evidence in the form of Kama Sutra, we have evidence in the form of statues and sculptures which are centuries old in famous temples like Khajuraho, Konark, and I can name several other temples all over India where this depiction of homoerotic statues are there. So I wanted people to talk about a subject which has always been hidden and a taboo. We don't talk about sex, so we don't talk about homosexuality. That's very unfortunate. But at the same time, I must also say that in India, we are very fortunate where homosocial culture is accepted, or homosocial behavior is accepted. And when I say homosocial behavior or homosocial culture, you will always see two men clinging to each other, two women clinging to each other in public. They will hold hands, they will be putting their arms around the other one's shoulder, they'll be clinging to each other, they'll be embracing each other. That's not a problem. But the moment a man and a woman, or a boy or a male or a female, do that in public, even if they hold hands together, everyone will look at them. Oh, look at that! There's a guy and a girl. There's a man and a woman. They're holding hands. They see that as a problem. If you go to colleges, I've seen, the boys and boys, if they are together, nobody has a problem. Even in our school, they used to make boys sit separately and girls sit separately, because they were not like boy and girl to sit together. Even if I talk about royal families, in most of our palaces, there is a men's section is separate and the women's section is separate. In the men's section, only men will be allowed. In the women's section, only women will be allowed. You're not allowed opposite sexes to meet each other as freely as you went. You
Okay.
see the examples. Even if you want to hire an apartment in any apartment in anywhere in India, or you want to even hire a room in a hotel, if you are two guys together, they have no problem. But if you're a boy or a girl or a male or a female wanting to hire a room in the hotel and all that, that is a problem.
Yeah.
That they will ask several questions. How are you related? Is she your wife? Is she your sister? She's your cousin? She's what? You know. So that was the thing which I wanted to break, and I wanted people to talk about this, because I realized that only if you talk about a subject, you can bring about change in the society. So this this whole thing triggered into my coming out, and finally I could not hold it back, because as a true living in a royal family is living in a prison. You're so many protocols, you have so many restrictions. You can't do this, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
want I was waiting for a chance to get free. Like how if you chain a dog uh, and his entire life, and then you unchain it and give it let it uh, free,
Hmm.
then you can imagine it will just run as like a wild animal. It will take opportunity of that small freedom. So
Okay.
same way I was in that position. Moment I got this opportunity, I just thought, let me just break all the rules,
Mhm.
and kind of I'm called the rebellious prince,
Okay.
in royal families, because I broke all protocols, and I broke all the restrictions, and I just came out and spoke the truth.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. And the question which arises in the normal, like the as I already said, as royal families, you should have a son or a son. I don't know if how it works in your royal family, but I just wanted to ask this question: is how you are a guest? How would there be like are is there anyone who's going to be your successor, or there are some kind of things like that?
See, in royal families, the adoptions are very common.
Okay.
Even our own dynasty began with an adoption in 1370 AD,
Mm-hmm.
since there was no male issue to the previous dynasty, which was the Parmar dynasty. So
Okay.
I think when the time comes, I'm sure there will be somebody who will be taking over the responsibility, somebody from an extended family who would would will be there, would be taken as the next heir. So I'm sure. I mean, see, nowadays, of course, we don't have our powers and privileges as we used to enjoy in the past, but definitely somebody needs to be there to take charge or take responsibility to be the next custodian of this rich cultural heritage. And there have been cases where the whosoever has been adopted in families, they have proved to be really very successful. Like, for example, we have the story of the Baroda royal family, where Maharaja Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, who was one of the most progressive rulers India had,
Mm-hmm.
he was a adopted person. He was just picked up from the street,
Yeah.
and he was given the proper education and upbringing and grooming, and he was known to be the person who brought about education. In fact, the person who wrote our Indian Constitution, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar,
Mm-hmm.
was given a scholarship by Sayaji Rao. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so the adoptions are very common in
Mm-hmm.
royal families, and I'm sure whenever the time comes, somebody will be there to take over, and definitely we will not have this dynasty end with me.
Mm-hmm.
There will be somebody will be brought in to take over.
Okay, great. And what was I don't know how important is it like the same as before, but how different and unique it is. Like how does it works? The people, when you came out to public, what was the reaction of people living in and around the Rajpapila? Like how
Yeah.
did people react to that?
So yeah, talking about the reaction, like it was quite against me, because nobody expected that this kind of a news will be coming out. Because as I told you in the past, I was the first member of a royal family to even talk about my private life in the public, which doesn't happen. And even now it doesn't happen. So people were quite shocked,
Okay.
and the first reaction was that my effigies were burnt in the fire, and by the public. There was a lot of protests happening. People were like annoyed, upset over this news, and they decided to they publicly announced that I should be boycotted from all social functions. I should be discommunicated. I should be exiled. I should be stripped of my titles. And I brought shame and humiliation to the royal family. More than everyone else, the royal families were pissed off. Some of them, because I made a statement and said that. I may be the first member of a royal family to come out openly as gay, but not the only one, which meant that I knew some royal families who were gay.
Okay.
Because I mean, you can be gay anywhere, and this is what I've heard from my own parents' mouth, saying that, oh, so and so is gay and so is lesbian and all that. So I knew about them, and they also knew that I know about them.
Okay.
So now they were very much fearful that now this guy has become shameless and he has outed himself. Now, what if they out us? So the royal family, some of the royal families were very upset, and they instigated my parents and told them that, look, we need to silence this guy, because if he is now out, tomorrow he will out us, and then the entire royal families of India's reputation will be at stake.
Yeah.
So under the instigation of these royal families, my parents, they took out this newspaper advertisements that didn't happen immediately, but it around 2 months later, where they publicly disowned me from the royal family and publicly disinherited me from the ancestral property. Now, I had no reason to out anyone, because why should I out? I mean, that's their private life. If they want to remain closeted, that's their choice. I have no right to out any person, but that fear was there. But when they did this, I simply said, because my news came on national television, and I simply made a statement. I said, look, I don't blame the actions of my parents, or I don't even blame the effigies getting burned, but I blame the ignorance of these people.
Okay.
Because they are not aware of the fact. They don't know about sorry, about homosexuality. So that's the reason they are making these statements. I would, if I would be in their place, I would have done the same thing, because we are not taught about sex in schools, sex education. So how are they going to learn about our LGBT issues?
Yeah.
And as an activist, it's my duty to educate them and remove them from this ignorance, and then only they will be able to accept and understand our behavior. So that was the reaction.
Okay. And what kind of awareness you, as being a gay princess, how do you, how does what do you say? How do you run awarenesses regards to LGBTQ community?
So fortunately for me, the very next year after I came out, I was invited by Oprah in 2007. Now, Oprah has a huge fan following, not just in India, but I mean international, but within India also. There's a lot of fans of Oprah there. At least then in 2007, Oprah was quite one of the most popular television personalities. So her invitation was a turning point in my life, because after I got invited by her, it changed a lot of mindsets of the people. All the people who were against me, they became in my favor. Just the mere invitation, which came in the newspapers, changed a lot of people's mindset in India. So that was one thing. And her invitation opened up other avenues and other opportunities coming from other parts of the world. And I was getting invited to inaugurate the prides. I was being invited to meet different leaders, like prime ministers, presidents, parliamentarians, Hollywood. lot of opportunities came, and I took each and every opportunity, and I must have traveled to so many countries in the world, meeting different people, and trying to do my advocacy, my awareness at all levels. And of course, media played a very important role. And see, when we see people from the non-LGBT community talk openly about us, then that makes a lot of difference. And we get influenced by those people. So when people heard me on Oprah, or anyone or any other person talking about me, for example, 3 years back, I was on this another famous show called Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which is, I mean, you all will be knowing about that, because I know it's very popular in the youth
Yeah, yeah.
population, not just in India but world over. So now see, if people who treat the Kardashian family as their icons or their role models, like you have Kim Kardashian, or you have like I was invited by Kim to her home for lunch. So
Okay.
there was Kim, there was Courtney, there was Kendall, and there was Chloe. And then I also met the mother, Kris Jenner. So
Mhm.
when people hear from these people's mouths about me and supporting me as gay, and the issues of LGBT in India, then they will connect, and like they will feel that yes, definitely there is some substance in what he's saying, and that's how the awareness happens. So
Okay.
and if just I believe that I just need to create one ally. I call them allies, because ally is a very important person for me, who is not from the community, but at the same time is open to accept us and understand our issues and talk about it. So
Mhm.
just one ally, if I'm able to create in any stakeholder, say for example in film industry, or in media, or in education, or in government, I think my job is done.
Okay.
Because I think the best awareness can be created by the ally in that particular stakeholder. For example, if there is one minister in our government of India, who
Mhm.
understands me and accepts me, that minister is enough. That minister talks to other ministers, and that's how the awareness happens. Or if one parliamentarian talks to another parliamentarian, one judge talks to another judge, one mother talks to another mother. So that's how we build allyship, and we are able to create
Yeah.
awareness.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And as you said that your own parents disowned you. So how did you like now? How did they come back again, accepting you? And how are you
Yeah.
able to get back your properties and being
So
a part of it?
yeah, it's a very interesting story. See, 2006, as I told you, they removed this public notices disowning me, disinheriting me. Now the situation is that around a few years back, my father decided to gift me this 15 acres of one of our very old ancestral properties, where there used to be a palace,
Uh-huh.
the royal establishment, and that was gifted to me. And on this property, I am now building as LGBTQA plus community campus. And again, the interesting thing is that when I started the work, it was my father who laid the foundation stone of this LGBT campus.
Okay.
So you see the entire reversal of
Yeah.
homophobic behavior
Mhm.
to a behavior where you are proud of the child, not only just proud, but you are supporting the child.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, imagine this is the first center of its kind in India, and this center is the foundation stone is laid by the father of the child,
Yeah.
who's openly gay. So,
Mhm.
so that's how you bring about change. And as because of the awareness which was spread through media, through influential people, like when I talked about Oprah, the Kardashians, or any personality, even watching films, for example. These days, Bollywood is also changed a lot. In the earlier days, I remember they used to make fun of us in movies and ridicule us, treat us as jokers, comedians. Now, serious issues are being discussed, and well-known personalities are coming out. For example, I was featured in this show starring started by Amir Khan called Satyameva Jayate.
Yeah.
Now that show brought about a lot of change because there was a whole episode on LGBT issues which was screened, and there are a lot of fans of Amir Khan today. If he openly talks about us, it makes a lot of difference. Similarly, so many other films have been made in Bollywood which are changing the mindset. Recently, one film was made by a friend of mine, Sridhar Rangayan, which it's called Evening Shadows. Now, I screened that film in various places, universities, and other places, and I got such positive response because when people watch that film, it is just a film based on a story.
It almost brings us at an end. What would be your last message in this, to anybody who wants to, come out, or anybody who wants to, like, any kind of message or any kind of thing you would like to talk about? You can just do it right now.
Yeah, so the message I would like to give to the community is that first of all, we should first of all accept ourselves as what we are, giving giving identity to ourselves and feeling comfortable to our sexuality. That is the first and foremost thing which the community should do before they even plan to come out. If they plan to come out, then there are two things which has to be kept in mind. Is that one is we need to be having our own social support system in place, because in the eventuality of getting thrown out from the home, one should not feel lonely or homeless or that kind of situation. Secondly, financial independence is very important. We should be on our own and not depend on parents for even shelter or food or something like that, because these are the two things which, if we are having a social independence and a financial independence, then it becomes easier for a person to come out to the family or to the society. So, and of course, I would like to tell the community that be proud of what you are instead of having a guilt feeling.
Okay, wonderful. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure having you, and I'm very happy that you gave a wonderful talk and a different, totally different perception of life of being a royal family and accepting yourself. Thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you.